Can you please put your hands together and welcome to my side, Stuart Devereaux.
Hello, Birmingham.
The Bureau, which is just there. It's not far to see, is it?
Literally just over there, and 100 yards further down Colmore Road as well.
It's your main building.
Today, I've got some fantastic rainbow trout, fresh in the kitchen today. I'm going to be cooking, quickly pan frying a fillet of the rainbow trout, and also cooking a very, very quick fondant potato to go with that, which is a really slow cooked potato usually. Gorgeous caramelisation on the actual potato, but it just melts in the mouth, and it will be lightly flavoured with a little bit of parsley, a little bit of mint, and I'll be making a vinaigrette out of some local kale. It couldn't get any more local. It's actually from Bearwood. It's from my house. I've basically been I've been growing this for the last 3 months now, and also the Moroccan mint as well. That's going to run through the dressing for that with some toasted almonds and a little bit of chiffonade, which basically means really finely sliced and matchsticked apples and a bit of vinaigrette.
My mouth's watering already. That just sounds delightful, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be tasty. Like, to kick off with, really, the thing that's going to take the longest amount of time really to cook is the fondant potato. I'm just going to literally cut it about 1 centimetre thick. Baking potato, normal baking potato, sliced straight through, and I'm literally just going to give it a little bit of oil and a touch of seasoning, and I've got a char grilled pan, like a ribbed pan here, that I'm just going to get a little bit of colour on it just to kick off with before going into a pan with some butter and just some water. It's that simple. It's got beautiful flavour. The butter will make it really creamy and rich as well, and it will be really soft, and you can just like push your fork through it, and that will sit salmon and also the sugar snap peas and apple around that. So I'm just going to get a little bit of colour on that to start with. Whilst heating up this pan, I'm going to add a touch of butter too. I say a touch, it's about 30 grams of butter. So, you know, a good amount. I'm just going to get that lightly foaming in there, and then pop my my fondant potato into that, and then cover it just about another 1/2 centimetre above the actual potato, just so it slowly cooks, and it's in an emulsion of butter and water, and that's it. I'm going to put that to one side. While that cooks, I'm going to prep a fillet of salmon for us. Sorry, a fillet of rainbow trout. Beautiful, really fresh, nice firm flesh on it, and a beautiful colour as well. So we're going to take one of the fillets off that to start with. It's such a beautiful colour. You know, it's light. It's a really delicate sort of sweet tasting fish, and it's really thin. It's really quick to cook. So, you know, there's no really reason why, you know. And if you don't want to fillet it yourself, just ask your fishmonger. I'll also be using a little bit of smoked oil with that, just to toast some almonds in. So it's got a really nice sort of refreshing, crispy vinaigrette as well that will go with it. I've just popped the potato in, and I'm just going to top that. Put the water just to cover, and then I'm just going to allow that just to begin to boil. That will boil. It will cook down, take around about 15 minutes, and then by the time that all the water's evaporated, I'll be left with the starches from the potato and the sugars obviously as well, and the butter. So I'll end up with a really creamy sort of mixture in the bottom that will eventually cook down to the solids, and it will be really dark, and I'll end up with like a really tasty, almost roast potato sort of flavour on the actual piece of the potato. So that's just on over there at the moment. Meanwhile, I've taken the fillet off, and I've also used these pair of tweezers here just to take out any of the pin bones that you'll just get left in there. I mean, that's possibly the longest amount of time that you'll spend doing anything with this dish. Everything else is really rapid. So, I mean, the kale I've picked up from my garden this morning around about 7 o'clock before heading down here just to get ready. And this is young kale, so you can actually eat the stalk on this as long as it's trimmed quite thin. It's like sliced quite finely. I'm just going to take you can quite simply just tear it down the stalk like that, and I'm just going to quickly wilt this right at the end of the dish. So I'm just going to get that prepped quickly, just so that I've got a beautiful fresh green crispy garnish to sit my fish on top of. Meanwhile, I've got a little bit of olive oil heating up in this pan over here. I'm going to pop my trout fillet in. skin side down. There's a little bit of seasoning on there. You're gonna get a nice crispy flavour, nice crispy skin on there, beautiful flavour, and it'll just lend itself nicely to adding a little bit more texture as well to the dish. So, you know, I'll have a crunchy, refreshing sort of vinaigrette that I'm about to make for you now, and I'll also have the fresh tasting, locally picked kale. I'm just going to use an apple as well for the garnish. So, I mean, all I'm going to do with that is take a few slices off it. I'm going to do a few diced, and also the other pieces I'm going to use, they're going to be julienne. So I'm just going to quickly cut that in half and then basically run my knife all the way along, keep my fingers out of the way. I don't want to end up having to ask for a first aid kit, especially while I'm looking up and chatting to you at the same time. And these two pieces here, with a bit of the skin on, I'm basically just going to do exactly the same thickness all the way along the potato, and then do exactly the same thickness of cut in the opposite direction once I've turned it round. So I've got a beautiful dice. Yeah,
you could be a chef.
I'm doing it for a while now. Yeah, I've had too many bites I have from knives to actually not cut myself anymore as well. So working too fast in other places. Right then, so our trout's actually cooking away there now quite nicely, really quick as well. You can actually see the change in colour on the skin as it starts to cook. That'll take around about 2 minutes or so. Meanwhile, I've got the potato is cooking. That's going to be about 12 minutes as well. And this is how quick the dish is. You're looking at about 14 to 15 minutes on the potato from start to finish. As long as it's cooking nice and hot, it's got a rolling boil on it. Meanwhile, the fish, that'll cook there. Gently move to one side. I mean, it's a non-stick pan. If you've got a pan that's likely to stick, just lightly dust it with a little bit of salt, not too much. Don't put any on the fish if you're going to actually do that, and then you'll just create a little bit less friction, and it'll just be able to sort of roll around on the grains of salt. They won't all stick to it. You can just take it off, and it'll also crisp up your skin really nicely as well. Yeah, whilst actually seasoning it, so you've got a nice tasty bit of fish in there as well. Right then,
how's that potato looking?
Potato's looking pretty near done, to be fair. We're not far off. We're just going to allow a little bit more colour on that. It's going to carry on reducing there. Meanwhile, we've got a nice crispy skin coming up on the rainbow trout.
It's the longest thing to cook, isn't it, the potato?
That's it, literally like everything else, as you've just seen there. I've done a little bit of chopping, I've done a bit of picking of leaves, and I'll say the only other thing that I've got to do now, whilst I'm also toasting almonds at the same time. So you got a bit of crunch, a little bit of nuttiness as well, works really well with the fish.
Sugar snaps.
Sugar snap peas as well.
Sugar snap peas.
Really crunchy, perfect at the moment as well. And they're going to be going just quickly chopped through the mixture, and then we're just going to plate that up in literally a few seconds. So all I'm going to do is just run my knife through them. I'm not going to go for any particular size or anything. I just want to chop them all across the length, so you can see basically the cross section of them. Just hold them up there. I'm not too sure if they're actually on the camera. Just roughly chopped, and we're going to toss those into our pan. So
nice bit of colour.
That's it, a little bit of colour. We've also got a nice bit of colour coming on our almonds as well now. So that's that done. And just move that out of the way. Right, those are reducing nicely. And then literally, the last thing I'm going to be doing is chopping some parsley and some mint also from my garden. And I'm just going to sprinkle in now a little bit of apple. It'll add a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of crunch. Goes really, really nicely with the mint. Perfectly with the fish as well, I find. So you can just flip our fillet over. So you've got a beautiful fillet there. You can still see the colour that runs all the way down the centre as well. It looks great. We're just going to lightly cook it as well, so we don't really want to go overboard. And a little bit of salt. So you've just got some salt. Go with the sweetness of your apple. And then I'm going to add a quick chiffonade, which is basically just shredding of the kale.
Yeah.
That's it. Bang on. Which is basically that. So a little bit hairy, a little bit shredded, basically. A bit of parsley and a bit of mint. It's literally, it only needs about 3 leaves of mint per person, to be fair. It just adds a really nice freshness to it. Excellent.
Looks nice. You know, they always
Right
say with food we eat with our eyes, and it's true. Because just looking, oh, actually, now I can smell the fresh mix.
That's it.
As well.
It's really fragrant. You know, it just basically kicks off the summer sort of feel for it. Really. I mean, as you can see, we got a really nice fresh mixture in there, and all I'm going to do is allow that to cook just a little bit more, just so that it just breaks down the outer side of the sugar snap pea. It goes a little bit translucent. You know, it's definitely cooked. Then you can eat them raw. They're wicked. They're just like sweets, really. So. And I'm just going to come over to our fondant potato, which is really soft now, to be fair. And just take that out, pop that into a pan just to finish off.
You'll have to put this one on the menu.
Excellent. Well, part of it is, to be fair. Right then. So. What you can do these. You can get a bit of bar marks and colours on these, like I'm actually going for here. On the barbecue outside, or if you got one of these griddle pans, you can use it as well. But you'll find that the potato, it just gives really nicely. It's really nice. It's soaked up all that butter as well. It's really buttery. Tiny little touch of seasoning for it, and we're going to give a little slice of lemon into our garnish over here. Give that a little mix up. Right, and right, I'm going to bring our potato over to the plate. We'll go for a little bit of a dressing of the garnish. Just come over there. So take our garnish, which is our homegrown kale.
Smells lovely. You can smell the mix of the
That's
mint
it, and there's toasted almonds as well.
Snaps.
Sugar snaps are just perfect, just nice and light and crunchy. So you got lots of textures really. It's not just a case of really soft, flimsy fish. Yeah, you're going to actually be able to sort of like get some crunch, go back to it. You could even let the fish go cold and just turn it into like a bit of a flaked trout salad as well. Yeah, there's no real rules to it really. You could do this hot, you can do it crispy, you could even batter it, deep fry it and stick it on, do it with chips. Whatever takes your fancy, to be fair. So I'm just going to lift up my fish really gently, place him over the top of that, scrape down the last of the garnish,
And those lovely juices.
and all those cooking juices as well. So that's really tasty stuff. Pop that there, and we just have a little bit of fresh bit of apple. So I'm just squeezing a little bit of lemon juice over as well. Just give it that punchy sort of like zesty sort of lift really for it as well. So just pop that there. And then I've got some locally grown cresses here. I've got some purple cress, some garlic cress as well, that I'm just going to basically just trim and just decorate the plate with.
When you say local, is it your garden again?
It's from Worcester. This one's actually from Worcester, so it's not actually it's not as local as Bearwood. But if I make a phone call, I could get it delivered there. You can get it anywhere.
Fantastic.
There we go. And just a little bit of a sprinkle of the garlic chives just around the outside. And the last of those cooking liquors as well.
I always love watching good chefs because it's like a work of art. So creative.
There we go. Right, so that's the rainbow trout from our local suppliers and some homegrown vegetables. That's British, homegrown and summertime there for you.